Well, good to see Ned LeDoux. Ned, really, congratulations on this album, Safe Haven, 12 songs. And I know you put your heart and soul into this project, as you always do.
Yeah, I'm very proud of this project. It took a while to kind of put together, so by the time this album comes out, it'll be over 3 years since my last album, the Buckskin album. So when it comes to writing songs and putting an album together, it just takes a while for me. There's a lot of pacing back and forth, and but we finally got it done with the help of my producer Mac McAnally, and I'm just so proud of this project. Yeah,
I got to tell you, I think when an artist releases music and really representation of where they are in their life. I know the title cut dedicated to your daughter, Haven Joe, and having this safe haven. I feel like a healing process for you, but also while you release this music, it really is a healing process for a lot of us who are also going through grief, and a grief that never really goes away.
Yeah, it's tough. It'll never get easier. It'll just there'll be that hole in your soul, But just to know that they're always going to be with you, and you'll see them again. But just to kind of talk about the title itself, I believe that everybody in this world probably has a place where they need to go when the world gets a little heavy. And so a safe haven for me has always been music. And so, yes, this album is dedicated and in memory of my daughter. I mean, she's all over this thing. But just to take that guitar off the wall and to hold it, not really in hopes that a brand new song is going to come out of it, but there's just something comforting about it. So I think it kind of, fits this album, just safe haven.
We often talk about your father, Chris Ledoux. You continue to carry on his legacy through your music, and an incredible duet that you give us on this. Talk about that song.
Yeah, so One Hand in the Riggin'. So we're talking like maybe 21 or 22 years ago. And there was this young up-and-coming singer-songwriter by the name of Bryn Hill out of Utah. And, he was a big fan of Dad's. And he had written this song, and he asked Dad if he'd like to sing on it with him. And Dad took a listen to it and said, yeah, that's a good rodeo song. And so Dad went into a studio for the very last time and laid down his vocal track to this song. But the part of the story I don't really know too much about. But as they say, for some unforeseen circumstance, Dad's vocal never made the cut. And so it more or less kind of sat on a shelf for over 20 years. And I got to be friends with Bryn a long time ago. And we'd always run into each other in Elko for the Cowboy Poetry Gathering. And we got to talking about the song. And Bryn said, I think maybe the timing just wasn't right back then. And how the Lord has a plan for everything. I said, yeah. He said, I think what his plan is for this to be a duet with you and your dad. And I said, we're on the same page. And so we went in the studio and, recorded it and everything. I put down my vocal track, and then I had to get back home because we had some shows to play. And then meanwhile, Mac got Dad's vocal track and plugged it into the mix. And so the first time I ever heard it was the final mix of me and Dad singing side by side. And it's still awesome to hear.
I got to tell you, as you're telling that story, I have goosebumps. One hand in the rigging. Boy, what a gift. And what a gift, obviously, for you and for your late father, but also for all of us that listen to your music. I'm so excited for this album. I'm so excited for everything coming your way. I know you don't stop touring, so people can log on to your website to find that. But Safe Haven, we're talking about a 12-song album. Ned, a pleasure. Thank you so much. Safe travels to you. I know you're a busy man. Appreciate you joining us.
Well, thanks for having me.
You bet.